years, he has made a great contribution to the educational sector as well as to the Association of Muslim Schools. This evening, Dr. Karoja is going to guide you along with his presentation that he has with regard to how do you go about choosing subjects and what kind of subjects will lead you to certain types of careers. And after that, he's going to introduce also a workshop, which I'm sure he'll give you more details about. So without much ado, I'm going to hand you over to our very esteemed guest school, and I'm sure you will give a lot of information at the end of queries that they may have, inshallah. Over to you, Dr. Karoja.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going on, I'm sharing my screen. Thank you very much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmadu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. I'm greeting you on this beautiful evening here. I'm actually, alhamdulillah, very grateful to Mr. Ibrahim and his team for taking the effort. I think they're really worried about their children in grade 9. So we must thank them for this effort. I am actually talking to you. I'm in the seaside, the holiday resort town of Shelly Beach. That's where I live. So just to let you know. So I'm going to start. I'm going to share my screen because I want to hit the floor running. And please, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm going to take this out. Okay, dokes. Let me start now. As Mr. Ibrahim said, this is actually, alhamdulillah, I belong and I started this company. It's called the Institute for Alternate Development. And alhamdulillah, through our sojourns around the world, my wife Saida and I, we were able to come across a program that fits all teenagers in the world. So we call this a gateway project. Why? Because you finish with the general education training phase, the GET phase, and now you're getting to something bigger. So that's why it's a gateway project. Let me just get to this. Sorry about that.
Dear learners and parents, just be a bit patient. Dr. Karoja is setting his screen for us.
Yeah, there's it here. Now, this is where we are. We must start off at a point, a beginning point, a start, and you have to do the following. You can see that the Department of Basic Education wants you in grade 10 to choose courses. They are in 2 groups. Now, the first group is actually the languages and life orientation. And there's a little divide there between mathematics and maths literacy. So those are 4 subjects. And in group B, you must choose widely. You must choose 3 subjects. I'll explain that later. So this is the dilemma we're facing. What do? We have to choose 3 subjects in group B, which, as Mr. Ibrahim says, we must actually articulate. We mustn't be wasting our time. So I'm going to explain to you. Please, if you have any questions, just jot them down in your head here or jot them down on a page, and I will get to them later.
have any difficulty, Dr. Karadia?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what's going on here. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm gonna just. And these are the credit points that you get for your subjects. So 4 from there and 3 from there, 130 credits altogether. Now, I want to tell you that many of us, if you look at this like SCAR, we actually take this as a very, very cursory activity, you know, fleeting by, we rush through it here. We need to deliberate, we need to stop the clock basics. We must help the learner here. So this is you are 14, 15. If you did your HIFS class here, 2 years or 1 year part-time, you'll be around 15, 16 years old. Alhamdulillah, for the first time somebody is telling you, it's fine to be confused, because normally parents say, I don't know what this young man wants here, why is he confused? So we are here. So this is, you ought to be confused, worried, scared, indecisive, helpless. Please don't worry, this program will allay all your fears. So I'm so sorry I'm rushing. And as Mr. Nasser says, you don't know where you are. Some of you do know, and some of you don't. So if you're confused, you're at your crossroads, this program will help you. But it's not all. I will explain later. It's just one of a program. It's one of 2 programs. And we have a same famous hadith. Remember, we are Muslims. And in Bukhari Sharif, it says, verily the creation of each one of you is brought together in his mother's womb for 40 days as a drop. Then he is a cloth for a similar period, then a morsel for a similar period. Then they sent to him the angel who blows the spirit into him, and he is commanded regarding 4 matters: to write down his provision, his lifespan, his deeds, and whether he will be happy or miserable. So your rizq is written down. And just to remind you, I'm sure you know the answer to this. Impossible is nothing. You will answer as Nike, but that's not where it came from. Impossible is nothing was said by this great man here. He was once a Christian by the name of Cassius Clay, and he reverted to Islam by the name of Muhammad Ali. And this is a very important, saying. He says impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. It's potential. And this impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. So the message from you to you, from me, from all your teachers, from your principal, from your deputy principal is that, look here, please remember, you are very important, and nothing is important, is impossible if you don't focus. You just need to focus and you can do it. Now the reality must hit you, and most students, a lot of them end up frustrated at university and tertiary institutions. Why? Because they pursue the wrong career. Do you know that the throughput rate only actually 15% of students actually finish the courses they started up with. Many learners end up in grade 10, 11, and 12. And really, parents are depressed, they are in distress, because a kid comes up and says, you know what, I don't like the subject I'm doing, and this is sad. Many learners complete their grade 12 only to find out they're in grade 12 and now they decide they're doing the wrong subject. They ask, but why? I should have done life science. I should have done this. I should have done that. But remember, all these are avoidable. How it's avoidable? We just need to pay attention. Do I need money to pursue a career? No. I'll explain that to you later. Please, if it comes up in the questions and I forget, just ask me as a question. Many individuals end up in the wrong career. And when you end up in the wrong career, your entire life is compromised. So remember that. And a lot of percentage of learners, remember, They come from underprivileged backgrounds because the economic climate is such, we're in recession. So please remember, this program reiterates that being poor is not a death sentence. You can make it. Now, this is what we normally do. If you in grade 9, you normally choose your subjects first, then you choose a career. Now, this is the wrong approach. I'm going to show you the scientific approach. First, you choose your career, then you choose your subjects. This is the right approach. Now, you must be wondering, how is this possible? How can I choose my career? I'm only 14 years old or 15 years old. Well, let me tell you, there is a science to it. It can be done. It's been done with thousands of children before you, and there is an approach to it here. Now, parent, please remember this works with communication. You need to start talking to your child. Take advantages of all opportunities to talk to your child about possibilities for the future. Don't shoot them down and pass them from one parent to the other. Most young people respond well to casual conversations. Don't be formal. So be ready when they ask questions about life after school. Be ready with questions yourself. Think about your child's experiences. Ask, have they helped in your business? Do they have a creative hobby or a special skill or talent that could lead to an occupation? Have they worked as volunteers? Held casual jobs? How did they feel about these experiences? Above all, dear parent, be encouraging and supportive. Be positive about their ideas and chances of finding a satisfying career path. Let them know that you believe they are a capable and resourceful person. Now, when you choose a career, we are actually starting now with the steps that you ought to take when choosing a career. There are many. I've just crystallized and I've just put them together into some main areas. First, ask about yourself, about the job, about studying. Money matters. And let me explain that to you. When you say questions about yourself, I will lead you on. It's asking about who you are. What's your personality? What you like, what you don't like. Questions about the job. If I get in this career, what will I be doing? Will I be climbing ladders? Will I be outside? Will I be inside? Will I be in an office? Will I be seeing people, know people? Then the questions about studying. We're going to go and do that just now. So I'm going to lead you. Remember, these are 4 important areas: yourself, the job, studies, and money matters. My career, how to decide. So when you ask questions about yourself, there are things that you like and things that you hate and dislike. There are people who love to work with teams and people don't like to work in teams. So what do I really do well? What do I find challenging? Some people, let me give you an explanation. Some people, they really do well at, for example, numbers, mathematics, and so on. They're very logical and deductive. Other people like to bake a cake. They like to open a car bonnet and fidget with the engine. They are hands-on people. So you know what do I find challenging? There are some people there who are creative. They're very good in art. How much money do I want to earn? There's nothing wrong with earning well. It's halal rizq. You can earn it. And some people don't want to earn well. They want a comfortable job. They want to be near mom and dad. These are all considerations. Do I prefer to make things or to read about things being made? So am I a person who likes theory, a lot of jargon, or do I like to make things myself? And what do I really, really want to know more about? And you know what to do, my career. Now, how to decide? Again, there are more questions about yourself. And the issue is that, look, when we are 14, 15, we're so preoccupied with other things. There are students who worry about themselves because you're going through hormonal changes, chemical changes, you are emotionally at a different level. You're trying to find yourself with your friends, with your company, with your time. There's schoolwork, there's hifz, there's madrasa. Most of you are Muslims. You worry about things that apply to you as a Muslim. So you're asking questions about yourself. So you're at this watershed moment. So there are lots of questions that you need to. So you got to ask yourself the question again, what kind of workplace do I want to work in? I'm only tickling you with answers, and I'll explain to you how we get to a child at 14 to know about himself. This is the question. Am I better at working on my own? How long am I prepared to study? For example, medicine today, it's 6 years. then 2 years of community service, another year of internship. You're looking at, before you say Jack Robinson, you're looking at about 9 years. So you start university at 18 and 9, you'll finish at 27. Some people don't like that. Some people like a short route. They like a 3-year degree, a 4-year, and finish off. At what age do I want to retire? What do I want to do tomorrow? I know of a young person. He's an actuary. He did a course in actuarial sciences. He probably worked for 4 to 5 years in his life. He retired at the age of 30 as a millionaire. Please, I'm not saying money is important, but there's a consideration that you can ask yourself. There are many of us who are working and working and working, and we don't seem to stop here. You can tailor-make your life, inshallah, with Allah's help. And you can retire early. So choose wisely. And boys and girls, if you're with your mums and your dads, I just want to say, you are very, very important to yourself. If you're going to think that I'm 14 or 15 and I'm just going to do what I want to do, I want you to think seriously, because if you think seriously now, for a little while, you'll do well. What do I want to do in 10 years' time? How hard am I willing to work? Listen, inshallah, you're 14. In 10 years' time, you are going to be 24. At 24, it means you finished a degree, and you must ask yourself, are you going to be working hard or are you going to be working smart? That's up to you. Do I want a spouse? Alhamdulillah, people want to marry when they qualify. On a light-hearted note, we call it, especially boys, if you're out there, don't be too worried. They call it, your mums and dads, the samosa run. Once you are actually, you have your degree, then mom and dad says, right, come on, boy, buckle up, and we're going to see some girls. So do I want a spouse? How many children? What hours am I willing to work? These are considerations. This is very important. Can I job shadow someone to get an idea of what the job entails? If you are interested in a particular cause, you must actually, or a career, you must be involved in finding out what the person actually does. That's called job shadowing. I'll explain that to you in the workshop, because this is not the be all and the end all, boys and girls and moms and dads. This is just a program to get your child interested in the world of work and to understand that what we do a serious work. Who can I interview about my job? We explain that in the workshop. How many employers are looking for people working in a career? I'll do this in the last slide. Is what I want to do a scarce skill? I'll do that in the last slide. It's very important. Please remember that. Just this program, alhamdulillah, is being tape recorded, the entire program. So if you want to watch it, do contact Mr. Ibrahim and his team. They're doing a fantastic job. And the scarce skill is important. We're going to talk about that later. What about studying? These are questions. What qualifications are available in my field? What are the admission requirements? What subjects should I choose? I'll show you a few now, how you think. You think clever. Don't worry. Grade 9 is a very funny time in my life. Some kids like monkeying around. They like, fooling around and spending the time on other matters more than academic stuff. You know what? This is the time to come down to basics, because if you're going to fool around and not take life seriously, then please don't go pointing your fingers at your mom and your dad and your teachers. You know what? Because I've come with a message that you are important, and if you think carefully and you are sincere about what you want to do and you're serious, you could do well. And the subjects I choose in grade 9 for grade 10, I will explain that to you as I move on. And this is important. Remember, when you complete school, you could either study through a university of technology, a further education training college. You get learnerships, apprenticeships, or internships. And what level of education do I want? I mean, there's so many degrees. Then you ask about monies. What will my studies cost? Where will I live while I'm studying? How will I pay for my studies? Where can I get a bursary or a study loan? Who will pay for my studies? Can I get financial aid? These are all important. Mom and dad, you need to answer these questions. I can't answer all of them. What I'm doing, I'm just tickling you to get you to understand that this Grade 9, this watershed moment in August, September, October, is not about choosing subjects. It's about choosing a career. Now, research has shown, alhamdulillah, in psychology, that those young people at 14 who have a long vision, they know what they're aspiring towards after matric and university towards a career, they do better at people who are myopic or short-sighted. There's an example done for you. Now let's look at, let's say you're interested in being an engineer. So these are the kind of questions you will pose to yourself. What are the skills I will need if I want to be an engineer? What do they do? What are the relevant subjects that I need to become an engineer at university? What are my career options? What are the qualifications in that field? How well do I earn? And so on. So these are some questions we need to ask. So again, it's serious time. It's time to go. Now, APS is a very important word, application point score or the admission point score. Now, this is how it works. You'll find that on the table, on the screen you're looking at, you'll see that there's a national senior certificate rating on the first column on the left-hand side. There's numbers 1 to 7. So for example, if you get, let's say, 75% in the second column in a subject like English at university, you will be given 6 points. And I'll explain to you how this works. So every subject that you do, besides the University of Witwatersrand, all the other universities, most of them don't consider, they don't take life orientation as a score. So all your subjects, that means 6 out of 7. Remember, you have 7 subjects, including the 7th subject is life orientation, and you will be given scores, and this is how it works. Now, firstly, let's say this is how university works. You will get into a faculty. So for example, if you want to become a doctor, a dietitian, a physio, a OT, a pharmacist, an audiologist, and don't worry because I will give you, I'm just the presenter and I do the research for the Institute of Alternate Development. Mr. Ibrahim will tell you, alhamdulillah, my wife is a qualified counselor. She's a career counselor, and I will leave the number. You can always phone her, call her, WhatsApp her, and she'll explain more about this, about who's an audiologist, speech and hearing therapist. So if you are doing the health sciences, you will be in the department, in the faculty of health sciences, if you want to be a doctor, for example. Now, the subjects you have to do to finish up as in health sciences, you must have mathematics, core maths, you must have physical science and life science. If you don't have them, you can't get into the health sciences. I've just given you an example. This is a very important slide that you're going to look at. I just want you to pay attention. I want you to focus your eye on the Bachelor of Engineering, which is the first, second, third, fourth, the 5th row. There's it there. My cursor is in on it. Now, the duration, it's 4 years. It's an honors degree. But there are requirements. That means that if you look at the last column on the right-hand side, this one here, you need a minimum of 36 points. Now, anybody will tell you 36 points means that in English, Afrikaans, maths, and physics, and your other subjects. So in 6 subjects, you may get 6 multiplied by 6 points in that APS to get 36 points. When you get 36 points, it means you must get 6 subjects over 70%. They don't consider life orientation, but there are minimal requirements. In Afrikaans or English, look at this column, the second column, where it says Afrikaans or English as home language. You have to get a minimum of 60% in English or Afrikaans. You have to get 70% or a 6 in maths, and in physics, you must get a 7. I mean, you know what? So there are points, application or admission points score, a total of 36, plus there are minimal requirements in like English, Afrikaans, there's minimal requirements in maths and in the physical sciences. Now, I took an example because, can somebody admit the person? Thank you so much. I took an example from UKZN, the health sciences, and this is actually, I'll show you the whole sheet. There's it there. These are all courses in the health science department. If you open to a brochure of the, you can see behind me, there's a photograph of the CAO. This is the body that you apply to if you want to do medicine. I enlarged the part on medicine. If you want to do a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, the second column is a program code. This is how it works. I'm reading the third entry requirements. You have to do or have to obtain the National Senior Certificate with English and Life Science and Maths and Physical Science at 5, an LO4 or metric exemption. Your points are between, it's actually 36. 30 was the old score and the duration is 6 years. But let me explain to you about health sciences. The health sciences at most universities is governed by the following. Just make a mental note of this, and please, somebody, you may ask questions around this. Saida and I, we've met, for example, the professor at faculties and so on. You have to do the following. Placement for medicine is based on the following. It's on your admission point score plus your NBT, your national benchmark test. This is a special national test that you've got to write. You've got to take it. And the third one is, it's called a biographical questionnaire. It's like your contribution to communities and societies and what you did at school and whether you were a prefect and whether you believe. That's why, boys and girls, we do this program in grade 9 because we shape your mind, because you can't come to grade 12 and then fill in a questionnaire, a biographical questionnaire, which scores 33 1/3% of your total requirements for admission, and then find out, nobody told me I need to be a prefect, I need to be a sports hero, I need to participate in school activities. You find it's too late. So we're telling you now, grade 9 is not a time to fool around and mess things up for yourself. Grade 9 is a time, it's a watershed moment when I'm 14 to shape my mind up, be serious, listen in the class, do my homework, do a lot of reading, and pay attention and actually shape my life around me so that I can fit in. So if I want to do medicine, it's not based, like we have a whole problem. We say Indians are not taken at university because they are Indians and they got 7 A's. Please, mommy and daddy, there's no more 7 or 8 A's. It's about a biographical questionnaire, and your kid doesn't feature because they don't want to play ball, they don't want to go out and do community service, they don't want to give blankets, they don't want to help the poor. You can't sit at home and just do, and then you've got to do a minimum of 55 hours of job shadowing of community service. So I'll just give you an example. You can look at the websites. This is how it works, and I will send this inshallah to Mr. Ibrahim tomorrow. I don't have the time to do it now, but this sheet is very important for mums and dads and teachers to go over things. You see, previously, when we had the different departments and we had the House of Delegates and Assembly and House of Representatives, we used to have in place, in school, a qualified guidance counselor. We don't have that. So mom and dad and teachers, you have to assume the role of counselors. So we have a faculty, we have possible careers that fall in the faculty, and recommended or required subjects. So you can have a look at that at your leisure. I'll give that to Mr. Ibrahim. Now this is how it works. You get a learning field, and I'm going to explain this very quickly to you. For example, at university, we call it the human and social studies. That means that if your child is inclined towards human and social studies. Now, human and social studies, let me show you what it means. It means he likes like geography, history, and so on. Here you end up doing a undergraduate qualification. It's either the Bachelor of Social Sciences, a Bachelor of Law, a National Diploma in HR Management, just a few examples, and you can see. Then you end up, so you get in school, there's a certain learning field. Mr. Ibrahim must tell you that, you must go through it. There are 8 learning fields. I don't have the time to do that because that's all the talk on its own. You have an inclination towards human and social sciences. there's a qualification, and there's careers. Then you end up in law, human resources, labor relations, psychologists, and so on. So there's a career, there's a qualification, and the learning field explains a certain area that you like when you're in grade 10, 11, and 12. Now, what does this tell us now? I won't be much longer. It tells us, look here, I asked you the first question, how do I know more about myself, my personality? Well, there is a workshop that is scientific. We do it with the Institute, and this is how it works. Like tonight, you having a small talk. This is called a wake-up call talk. It's a jarring call. It's saying, boys and girls, come on. You are important. You are very, very precious to all of us, to the ummah, to your mom and dad. So this talk highlights important aspects related to the career process. On a Saturday for 3 hours, there's a self-discovery workshop, which assists you to empower yourself, and you get a written feedback. So the process is scientific. There is a talk, there is a workshop, and 2 weeks after the workshop, you get a comprehensive report showing you what? There's it here. It tells you what's your career values, career groups, your interests, your abilities, your personality traits, and it tells you something about job shadowing. So the 3 hours is well spent. So again, moms and dads and boys and girls, remember in the beginning, you saw this child, he was scratching his head and he's confused. It's fine to be confused. But remember, the good part, the positive part is that there is a science which we know about, alhamdulillah, through a self-discovery workshop, we will use and we will guide you to getting to know more about yourself. You see, you don't know what to do. We will tell you what's your values, what's your groups. Take that and funnel you and chisel away at you and guide you and show you that, look, given my personality, my abilities and interests, this is what we're suggesting. We're not prescriptive. We are saying this is what we are suggesting that you do in your life. Alhamdulillah, I've met thousands of children. Saida and I, my wife, we met thousands of children. These are some of the schools. Welcome if you just come now. You're not too late. And I just want to remind the viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah is a giver of rizq. We are just trying to use this as the watershed moment. Maybe align some children who are not serious about their schoolwork, and those who are serious, give them more support. So please know you're in good hands. I've seen a lot of schools, private companies, and so on. So I was in Johannesburg Muslim School many years ago. So Alhamdulillah, you are in good hands. And we must thank Mr. Ibrahim, who always gets hold of me somehow or the other. I told him, Mr. Ibrahim, I can't be in Johannesburg. He says, don't worry, you be in Port Shepstone, and we'll get you in Johannesburg. This is how it works. At the Discovery Workshop, you can see, I'll just use an example. Look at the top, the diagnostic tool. We use an interactive workshop based on a 30-page instrument. It has probing questions. It is not an examination. It is an assessment based on, it's a 20-minute pencil to paper test based on 64 statements, yes or no. The entire workshop, but anyway, I will send this slide also to Mr. Ibrahim so he can share it with you here. And I want to tell you something. Look at the third row. My cursor is there. In the program, so the program works like this. So for the first 2 hours, we get information from the young boy or girl, the male or female, and we guide them through every question in 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, it's ajib, it's strange, but we get such fantastic responses from children because they just don't move. Their parents can't believe it, or the teachers, that this is the same child who's sitting in the workshop. This kid cannot sit for a minute silently in class. But you see, the good part of the workshop is that when the child understands that this is important and my life depends on this, and they see the person they're interacting with, Then at the end of the 2 hours, and they now realize that I know about myself, and this is a science, this is not a thumb suck process. They get so serious. So at the end of 2 hours, we do what is choosing careers. And part of it is this here. It's called the bullseye poster. Now, quickly telling you about the bullseye poster in Australia, when you're 14, the government forces you, and as a parent, really, you can be charged if you don't take the child. You have to take the child to a testing center, and they do a bullseye workshop. In the bullseye workshop, this is what they do. They expose your child to posters. It's a very involved, deliberate thing. It's scientific. We do it during the workshop. And your child, from about 25 or 26 posters, chooses a subject or he or she likes. So if you look at the screen, I'll explain to you. Let's say you like computers. So you can see in each donut, in each ring, in level 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are careers inside. So level 1 are all those jobs which only a matric pass, level 2 a certificate, level 3 a diploma, and level 4 is actually the university. So this is the science. During the workshop, we unravel this to the student. Now, getting to the major issue. Alhamdulillah, at Johannesburg Muslim School, they have pleasure in offering the following subjects in grade 10 for 2021. So let's pay careful attention. Adil, welcome. Can we admit Adil, please? Right. In the first group, English is offered as home language, Afrikaans as first additional language. The child has a choice between maths and maths literacy. Remember, you cannot choose maths literacy first and then change to maths. You can't do that. Yes, you can be on maths and then go to maths literacy. And life orientation. Remember, Mr. Ibrahim needs to explain to you that don't take life orientation lightly. Students who do not submit a portfolio in life orientation are unresulted. That means they fail matric, they don't get their matric. In group B, these are, you have 3 choices because you have 7 subjects in all. Your first choice is between physical science and business studies, but you must remember, you must go back to that slide. For example, you will choose physical science if you are doing a health science or engineering, or when your qualification at university needs physical science. So you must understand the seriousness of what I'm just telling you, that firstly, you've got to know what career or occupation I love to get into. Then you choose your subjects. Now that's the way that you look at things. The second choice is between life science, that's the old biology, and history. You can see one is a science and another is a humanities. And you can look at the first one. Alishba Salim, can we admit him, please? The lady, Shukran. If you look at the first one, you can see the divider is between physics and a career in commerce or EMS. And the last one is accounting, that's a BCom and geography. So for example, if you want to do a BCom, don't go physical science. You don't need it. Choose business studies, take the easy route. You need history and you need accounting, because accounting is a score. And remember, to do a BCom and finish off as a chartered accountant, you need mathematics. Mathematics is the core subject. You don't even need, please, I don't need to be corrected, and I'm talking absolute sense, right? That to pursue a career as a chartered accountant, you need maths, not accounting. So I'm just giving you the route. Mr. Ibrahim, I'm worried why the Muslim schools not having Arabic. I'm a bit worried, but alhamdulillah, we'll talk about it later. I put 8 subjects. Please, the school is not offering an 8 subject. I just put it because in many schools, you have very bright children. When you do an 8 subject, you get extra points from university. That's when it matters when you are doing, for example, medicine or so. You don't get an extra point for the subject. That means they don't count 7 subjects. They will take 6 of the best and they give you an extra, I don't know how many points it is, they give you. So overall, you're in a good batting wicket here. So remember, 7 subjects on offer. That's mandatory. M means mandatory, compulsory. That's compulsory. There's a choice there. And that's compulsory. You have a choice there. You have a choice there. And you're not going to walk blindly now into the sun. It's not a blind race. You'll have to ensure now that you actually choose correctly. Your school has taken the time and the effort to get hold of professionals. We are professionals. We worked for years. Saida and I worked in Dubai, in Qatar. We've just come back from Saudi Arabia, alhamdulillah. We've done work in India with students. So we've seen teenagers all over the world. We've worked with so many schools in South Africa. And we can tell you with a fair degree of confidence that what we do, we know what we do, we can guide your child. So 4 there and 3 there. Boys and girls who are interested in the 8th subject, you need to talk to Mr. Ibrahim and to the deputy principal. The 8th subject is done in quite a significant number of schools. Yours is, I consider, as the flagship school. It's a very old school. It's a reputable school. I have very fond memories of the school, of people there whom I know. Mulana Bam, Mulana Gardi, I know them personally. Please give them my salams. I hope some of the family members are here tonight. So the 8th subject is given at the behest of the child via the parent in an application. The school has to apply to the department, but you must remember that the 8th subject is done on your own steam. And you get kids, like a lot of kids are very bright, so they'll do, like, let's say, for medicine, physical science, life science, accounting, and they'll take geography as this. They've done it in many schools that I've been at. And Mr. Ibrahim knows he's an history and Arabic expert. I'm geography, that's one of my favorite subjects here. So I've just given a little hand to the students, and many of them, all of them ended up as doctors. They took geography as the 8th subject on their own steam. Mr. Ibrahim and the staff and the admin team of Johannesburg Muslim School, where's the causes for the creative person? Like, I don't know, I'm not saying that you need to offer it, because remember, it's an economic thing. You got to get teachers and so on. It's COVID now, but where's something for the creative? Because these are all academic subjects. There's no art, there isn't computers, there's no IT, CAT, nothing. Where's the course for a student? You see, mums and dads, I just want to make a point psychologically so you understand where I come from. Many children don't perform poorly because there's something wrong with them mentally. Why there's nothing wrong with this child? The problem is that you've got a vocationally oriented child. That means this child is good with his hands or her hands, good at baking, floral arranging, and so on here, good at plumbing, mechanics, and so on. But the child is sitting in an academic stream. Now, you will find that at the end of grade 9 or 10, that a child is just not doing well at school. And then we have this funny tendency to call the child by names and so on. Please refrain from this and call me if you're having an issue. I will look and assess this child. But the child is good hands-on and is actually sitting in an academic stream. That child should be offered courses like tourism. You get CAT. CAT is computer-aided technology. It's the easier part. It does word processing and so on. But Ms. Ibrahim, we can take that argument further. That was the question. We come to the last slide, alhamdulillah. I just picked this up here. It came from The Economist. That means that 2 or 3 days ago. Also, you'll see in the first column, there's a rank 1 to 10. In South Africa, you can just type on your Google search engine, ask for what is called a critical skills list. This means that these are skills that are so scarce in South Africa that we find that the country has to import expertise from overseas countries like Spain and Italy and the United States of America and France, right? And who they've got jobs for. Now, this is what you must look at, because one is, remember the famous saying, a qualification no longer guarantees me a job. There are millions of people walking the streets with brown A4 envelopes with qualifications in them, and they do not have jobs. This is the list which is guiding you to say these are the jobs that are ready in demand. The country doesn't have people to fill these scopes. So they are engineers, 21%, computer specialists, these are IT specialists. These are not A+ and N+. These are people who deal with SAP and computer programming and so on. They're the ones who actually produce the applications, the ones like booking.com and so on. 19% artisans. You'll be shocked. Plumbers, welders, mechanics, there's a huge demand for them, 16%. Who's a C-suite executive? A C-suite executive is that once you enter a company and you become the CEO, the chief executive officer, the COO, the chief operating officer, the CIO, the information officer, or the CFO, the chief financial officer, they're at another level. That means you're in the company and you are promoted to this head here. And I don't want to frighten you, or why must I frighten you? You must know that if you're serious in school and you've got your head screwed on properly, you pay attention, you listen to your teachers, you let them guide you, you listen to your mom and your dad, and you're not a problem at home, you respect people, and you do whatever you have to do, then alhamdulillah, the earning potential of C-suite executives, it's anything between 200,000 a month to more than $1 million a month. I've seen people, please, I've seen the 13 checks and they also get 14 checks. Tell your mom and dad to tell you about that. Then you got healthcare professionals, 9%, media and marketing specialists, 7%, foreign language speakers, 6%, science professionals, 3%, and a STEM teacher, there's a new move now. They got the STEM schools. STEM are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics schools, where the schools specialize in mathematics and they do like cuboid blocks and coding and so on. They work with robotics. So mom and dad, boys and girls, alhamdulillah, Mr. Ibrahim, this brings me to the end of the program. I'm so happy to have been with you at Johannesburg Muslim School. And for further details regarding, I think the school needs to think ahead. Whilst things are a bit quiet and are we allowed to travel, an adequate arrangement can be made for a suitable Saturday with distancing and so on here. And my better half, Saida, she will actually come on board, do the workshop. The workshop cannot be done online. It has to be face to face. They will all wear their masks, and let's not have 3 hours separate us and alhamdulillah, the success of our children. On behalf of my wife Saida and I want to take this opportunity and wishing all you the best, all of you the best. May Allah bless you with barakah and afiyah. And we have very, very difficult times. And I want to leave you on this note that alhamdulillah, we had the opportunity of working in Dubai. And I'm not telling you about Dubai, it's not the point. The point is those parents, most of the people who work in Dubai are expatriates. But what happens, for example, in India, India exports its brains. So there's a brain drain in India. They actually have students who know exactly what they want to do in grade 6 and 7. They go to college, to high school, they get their scores, they go to university, they get their qualification, and they are taken up like that in Dubai, and they earn very well. So please, on that note, our numbers are here on the screen. If you got your camera, it's nice, just take a photograph of this so you know the numbers here, but I'll leave them on here. Mr. Ibrahim, I'm going to, as soon as I'm going to stop sharing, but please, if the mums and dads and the viewers, just take a shot of this one here, but Mr. Ibrahim will give you more details. On that note, these questions, please, I'll hand you over to Mr. Ibrahim.
Okay. Shukran, Dr. Karodia.
Sorry, there was a lot to digest. I'm sorry.
Shukran, Dr. MS Karodia.
It's just I'm sorry, Mr. Ibrahim, it was just the tip of the iceberg. We can go on and on. Every part has its own, extended program. I can't do all, but inshallah, you can fire away with the questions. You can unmute all the people, please, Mr. Ibrahim.
Okay.
Please feel free.
Okay, dear learners and parents, on your behalf, I want to express our deepest thanks and appreciation to Dr. MS Karodia for his very, very informative presentation this evening. I'm absolutely sure that our learners have gained much from the presentation, and I'm sure they are very eager to ask you a few questions. But before I open it up for questions, dear learners and parents, just one or two things that I want to allude to, which was mentioned by Dr. Karodia. Firstly, we are going to make this recording available to you. Inshallah, tomorrow our IT team will send it out to you, will email it to you, or will send it on our G6 platform. Right. In addition to that, there were a few points that Dr. Karodia raised as to why we have such limited offerings at Johannesburg Muslim School. Now, as you are well aware, one of the main factors and the reasons for us offering only a very much an academic stream is due to the constraints that we have at the school in terms of the premises. Inshallah, with your very, very strong du'as, we will be in the near future moving to our new premises, which is really a state-of-the-art premises where we have all the facilities, the specialized laboratories, other facilities to offer all the different types of subjects. And it is our wish and desire as the senior management of the school to ensure that we offer a much wider selection of courses, right? Not only an academic stream, but a vocational stream as well, so that we give every learner an equal opportunity to pursue some form of career in the future. So on that note, we will leave it, and I will be able to send out to you when the learners come to school. We will also be providing you with a handout, a booklet with regard to career choices and subject choices, etc. And all other information that we have on hand, we will make that available to you when you come to school on the days that you are allowed to come. Right, we'll open up now for questions. If you are a bit reluctant to ask the question, then please put it on the chat, and Maulana Wasim, will you read out the questions for us as it comes through?
Will do, Mudir.
I think we have one question there from
please feel free. This is your opportunity.
Brother Shabir, you have a very nice question. How many points do one get for Arabic? Now, let me just remind you, firstly, Arabic is not a language treated as a language. Especially, Arabic is not a language. It's not a language, an official language here. In South Africa, is not one of the 10 official languages. The 9 languages, I'm sorry. Arabic is treated as a subject. It falls in the humanities section. Yes, if a subject like Arabic is done, if you get an A and 80%, you will get your 7 points. So you get the same points in Arabic as you would get for any other subject that you have. And you will be surprised. In my life, I've seen students that do this privately in KwaZulu-Natal. We had a very, very strong subject advisor in Mr. Nizam Ibrahim. We had students who used to do Urdu. There are students who do vernacular languages like Hindi and Gujarati and so on here. So the points, no difference. If in geography for a 75, you get 6 points. If you get 75 in Arabic, you get the full 6 points.
Yeah. If I may just add, Dr. Karodia, we are looking at offering an 8 subject as from next year, inshallah. If we get the necessary approvals, we will offer to our learners an 8 subjects. And there will be a few subjects on offering. We will let them know in due course. Right, learners, parents, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. This is your opportunity to clarify anything that Dr. Karodia had mentioned in his presentation. Right, don't miss this opportunity. Clarify any point that you wish to know. Right, if you're a bit reluctant and reserved to ask a question, please put it on the chat and we will answer it for you.
Now, while they're watching that, I just want to see if I can get to something here.
Mudir and Mr. Karoda, I've had one chat, one question that has come through as a private chat. It's
Yes,
also
sir.
related to the Arabic. The question is, does Arabic help me as an 8th subject? I think it was partially addressed in your previous answer, but if there's more that you would like to elaborate with regards to Arabic as an 8th subject.
Firstly, yes, it would, because if you're going to pursue a career in the health sciences, especially for medicine, choosing an 8th career scores you an extra few more points. And Arabic is a beautiful subject. I always tell people that, for example, if you want to do well, you can focus, because Arabic, it's a very, very clear subject. It's not abstract. It's, for example, it's not science. It's words, it's language, it's literature, it's poetry. It's really a beautiful subject. And the student who is focused, you don't have to struggle to get your A. You get your A, and it's not, nothing is easy. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's achievable. It's doable. Well, now I was going to show them something. I hope I can just share the screen with them. So I'm going to see if yeah, you can talk. Saida wants to say something, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for accommodating us. With regards to Arabic, quite an interesting question. Firstly, I'm going to portion some blame to Mr. Ibrahim. I won't say fluke, happen to be an Arabic majors graduate. However, throughout my career, I've been teaching English. But in my last teaching stint in Saudi, I realized at what a disadvantage I have put myself in. If we're looking at Arabic just as a subject, as a school subject, yes, it is going to get you points, perhaps better points in some other subjects. But if you're looking at long-term, lifelong learning, Arabic has far more benefits. And Mohammed Said mentioned the health sciences. One needs to understand that, especially during this COVID, there's been lots of issues of socioeconomics and the debt that South Africa is in. I hope it doesn't pronounce the death of South Africa. We are in the doldrums economically, financially. So what happens when one is unable to ply one's trade in this country? Now the new age graduate works on one continent, holidays on another continent, and visits family on another continent. So when one is choosing, one just doesn't look within the confines of subjects and careers, but you look at your value, your market value in an international market. So if you're an engineer, how are you going to make it not just locally, but internationally? And the punt for engineers, accountants, teachers are generally located in the Middle East. And the Middle East is Arabic. So yes, it will give you those points, but it also puts you at an edge when you're looking at the world beyond the confines of South Africa.
Ms. Ibrahim, if somebody in the host room can just unmute all the parents, it'll sound a bit rowdy, but it's fine. So we can open the floor here. Some people may have questions to ask. They're probably not using the chat. Just unmute.
The parents themselves can unmute themselves.
No, they can't, because you have to unmute. Yes, that's better.
Maulana, if you can assist there, please.
Yeah, I've unmuted all participants.
Please feel free to ask questions. I'm sure there are questions. I'm sure you have some burning question. I mean, I can't be so good here that there are no questions here tonight. That means I've answered everything that you wanted to know. So, Mr. Ibrahim, we can have it that you can have all the kids here doing the self-discovery workshop. You just have to set a date, that's all. And inshallah, we'll be there serving your community.
Let's give them another minute or so, Dr. Karadia. I'm sure
No,
they
no,
will have something.
please, we've not in a time bind for anything. Feel free, please gather
I'm
your
sure
thoughts together and ask questions.
in this
Let me
last few
see
months,
my,
yeah.
Mohammed Bayan, is there something you'd like to ask?
No.
Leila Hassan?
oh yes, I was going to tell you about funding. I'm not talking about NASFAS. It's in another slide. If I had another day, maybe inshallah, I'll show it to you. It's called at university, it's called an accolade. An accolade means you get an honorarium, you get a special award given to a student. For example, let's say you got an A aggregate. An A aggregate means that if they total all your subjects and divided by 7, and you got over 80%, it used to be 70 before, but now it's over 80% in your aggregate total. Firstly, you get a bequeath, you get an honorarium from the university, then they give you a certain amount, and it ranges from about 12,000 rand to 25,000 rand. The university gives you a gift because they get a gift from the government and they reward you for your results. You get anything from 12,000 rand to 25,000 rand for a distinction A aggregate, and then you get 1,000 rand for each subject. So if you had 7 A's, you get 7,000 rand plus the 25. You actually end up paying no fees. So please be wise, you get accurate. And secondly, that's another topic. You can phone us and we'll discuss it with you. There are lots of opportunities. You don't need money in your life. You need to do well. You need to focus. And there are lots of bursaries available. But bursaries mean you've got to get on a website. It takes an hour. You've got to fill in an application form. And Mr. Ibrahim, I want to tell the grade 9 students, nicely with hikmah and with love, that when the English teacher, for example, asks them to come out and deliver a talk, you find they are very hesitant. They don't want to talk, right? Secondly, they don't want to get into writing. They're tardy with the writing because the key is, the key here is that as a person, you got to fill in a form. Now, when you fill in the form, they don't see you as a person. They don't hear you. So it's just that form that's going to matter. So please improve your writing skills, learn, do your reading, don't stop your reading here, and become Ufay, because there are lots of bursaries available. And on a note of the bursary, there's a thing called a South African Bursary Register. Every school should keep it. You buy it from CNA, you order it, and you keep it. It's got thousands of bursaries available in that one book here. Somebody asked a question, I think, on a chat. I think we have, Maulana, do we have some questions?
Yes, we've got 4 questions on the chat. 3 are internal. So very quickly, I'll go through the internal questions. Number 1 is, the learner asked privately, is it compulsory to take biology? I was under the impression it is compulsory to take biology, which is life sciences. I have responded to the learner privately. It's not compulsory to take biology. The second question, which is for Mr. Karodia, is which Saturday will we be planning for the 3-hour assessment?
Okay, Malana,
I think
I'll answer that
yes, you
question.
can answer that, Mr. Ibrahim. Yes.
Okay, had we been under a normal situation, probably would have had that workshop taking place this weekend. However, depending on a number of you that wish to do the workshop with Dr. Karoja and his good wife, right, we will look at probably next weekend when we will offer this workshop. And as it was mentioned, this is not an online workshop. We have to do it on site. So subject to the numbers of learners that wish to do it, we will probably, inshallah, we will give you more details within the course of the week, but probably next weekend we will have this workshop.
Okay, the next question is, what is the cutoff date for the children to choose their subjects by? Communication will be sent to parents and learners shortly, and there will be a defined date in that communication, inshallah. There is another comment that it would be very nice if the school can consider adding art as a subject. The comment is noted, and as Mudir has indicated earlier, the school is in the process of looking at expanding its subject choices going forward, especially with the new school coming into view. There's another question that came in privately. Does the school have a level of results that needs to be attained by learners to qualify for pure maths or science from grade 10? This is also an internal question. Would you like to answer?
Sorry, what is the question, Maulana?
Does the school have any criteria for a learner to choose pure maths? Do they need to attain a certain level of results in pure maths in grade 9 to
Yes.
qualify for maths in grade 10?
Yes, preferably we would like all learners to achieve a minimum of at least 50% in maths and natural sciences in the grade 9 year, right? To be able to be allowed to do maths, pure maths in grade 10. However, we do give you the benefit of the doubt and will allow you to do pure maths, and we will review your results after the first term and then advise you accordingly. We're not going to force you to do anything. We'll just advise you that, it would be preferable if you can rather switch over or remain there. We will give you that benefit of that. But ideally, we have a criteria of a cutoff point of 60% in maths and natural sciences in the grade 9 year.
Mr. Ibrahim, let me just, and Maulana, let me just intrude and tell you something very important. And I just missed me when I was doing the presentation. A lot of students have what we call an adjustment problem. Even the brightest of students that I've seen, who was getting 90s and almost 100% in mathematics in grade 9, starts struggling with mathematics and physics in grade 10. Now, Mr. Ibrahim, and I think Saida needs to tell us more about this as a counselor. You see, firstly, the human mind is made up of neurons. It's actually neurological. And it's very funny because as we get older, remember in grade 1, 2, and 3, as a mom and dad, you are taking your child to the library, you are reading, and so on here. You're borrowing and you're buying books for the child. You give the child a book as a birthday present instead of chocolates and toys. And all of a sudden, after grade 4, reading is taken and thrown out of the window. So you find that this is called a multiplier effect. By the time the child gets into grade 9, by not reading, remember, neurons are pruned. That means they atrophy. That means what we don't use, we lose. So this is the issue that we have. And then also another thing my research has shown is that a lot of children, especially amongst the Indian community, they like to get their child to be in grade 1 when the child turns 6, before the child is 6, before the 30th of June, because that's what the department allowed. Now, the child, if you count that the child is 6 years old, that means the child is 5 years and plus 6 months in January in grade 1. This child comes into grade 9 and so on. The child doesn't have that intellectual maturity to deal with subjects like mathematics and so on. So there are many issues, but I can tell you, Mr. Ibrahim, you probably need to sit and tell the parents how serious it is. And we had a very, very broken year. I don't know how we're going to make up. We actually had full school from the 2nd of June up till now. We ran a full school as an independent school. Yours in Johannesburg, your wave was very serious. We were fine here. But I can tell you something, that losing out on 5 months of work is not going to make it, because children who had the full time and the notional hours for grade 9, we find from our experience that they have major problems adjusting to their subjects in grade 10, because the jump from grade 9 to grade 10 is massive. Mr. Ibrahim?
Thank you, Dr. Karodia. Jay. Maulana, any more questions? Are there any other questions there?
One last question that has come in. How much is the cost for the assessment that the school is planning to do, Mr. Karodia?
So it's 800 rands. The test normally done with the private psychologist can range anything between 2,500 to 3,500 rands. But we're just doing it here because we have a target group. So if there are more, then we have a large group doing it here. It costs 800 rand per student. It's for the 3-hour workshop. And after that, you get an electronic report. It's a comprehensive report guiding your child to the right subjects that the child must take and a career. But remember, it's not prescriptive. We have a waiver. It's only a guideline suggestion based on the answers that the child gives during the assessment. Mr. Ibrahim, you find also, Mr. Ibrahim, you find also, I'm sure you have children who have experienced these issues in grade 10. They find this jump very, very high, the span.
Yeah, generally speaking, I'm sure you'll allude to it as well. Generally speaking, in the schooling career, we find learners have this difficulty of adjusting when they move from grade 3 to 4. There's a big adjustment there that they have, and also when they move from grade 9 to grade 10. That's another time when they experience a lot of adjustment problems. However, as a school, we will try our best to mitigate all those adjustment problems that our learners normally have. With regard to the workshop, those of you that are interested in it, then please, from tomorrow onwards, you can start contacting my PA, that's Mualima Shirin Qaeda at the school, and forward your name to her and tell her that you are quite interested in the workshop, and we will arrange it with Dr. Karodia and his good wife to come along and do the workshop for us.
Thank you so much.
I just want to add. Okay.
Pudir, there's been one last request. There has been a parent that has requested if the date can be revised, since seeing the date will be on a long weekend and many families will be going away.
Yes, it can
That's
be.
something we can look at.
We can always adjust. It's not a difficult situation. We'll just see how many takers there are first, and then we'll take a decision on it. And if there's a request from parents, we can always change the date to the following weekend. This weekend might be a bit too soon, considering that we are in an unusual situation and we don't have all our learners back at school. So Dr. Correa, I hope you appreciate it. You know, from the other schools where you ran this workshop for us, right, we did it immediately after your presentation. That same weekend we did it. And we had a large number of learners taking the workshop. I'm hoping for the benefit of our learners and for our parents also, that many of them will opt for your workshop. Personally, I can vouch for the workshop. I'm not in any way trying to promote Dr. Correa, but I know the value that it has given to students in the other schools where we did run this presentation as well as the workshop.
800 compared to change of curriculum.
And you're most welcome, Mr. Ibrahim. And please, Molana, the parents can feel free. We are very easy because normally I do the workshop on a Friday evening, so it doesn't matter. We fly up normally on the Friday evening, and then we can set up for a Saturday. So the date is not a problem. You choose, sit as a little close-knit community as a family, and choose, and let's do what's in the best interest of the child. I would love to come and do the workshop there for the children and guide them, inshallah.
Okay. Right. It doesn't seem like there's any other questions, Maulana, so we can terminate this meeting. But I'm sure if the learners do have, or if parents do have any other questions, then you, Dr. Koradia, I don't think you and your good wife will have any problems with any of our parents or learners contacting you directly. You have given them your cell numbers.
Yes, no, you most welcome. And Saida actually wants to say last parting shots to the parents here and the boys and girls. Thank you so much for your warmth.
Parents, learners, let's just get one thing clear, and especially this is directed to the learners, that the school has taken the initiative. Remember that a significant part of what we've just touched on is also touched on in your grade 9 life orientation syllabus. So some of you will say, why do we have to do this again? We take it to another level. We take it beyond the career choices and minimum requirements. We have sections that address affective, emotional issues, right? In addition to that, remember that the school can do all the coaxing and goading and supporting. The parents will go that extra mile and burn the midnight oil. But the ball is in the court of the learner. If you choose to be mediocre, if you choose not to read beyond the confines of your textbook, if you choose not to get career literacy, you have nobody but yourself to blame. Remember, at school, parents can always come to the principal, go to board members, complain, and sometimes create a fuss. When you go to university and you find that you can't cope and you drop out in the first year, the minimum financial damage is 50,000 Rand. Have you heard of any parent going and fighting with the dean? the parent will simply say, my child just didn't cope. It was not easy, or it was not the correct course. So grade 9 learners, you're not too young. Yes, you're in an adjustment transition phase, but it would be your fault if you're not going to take the reins and take control of a very important aspect of your life that affects not just your academic, it's going to affect your family life, your social life, and eventually your health. An an incorrect career choice, poor results, being unhappy at work. Eventually, I know Dr. Karodia points out that the pharmaceutical companies become the biggest winners. You become miserable, and then you're sitting with a whole lot of worries on your head. So remember, people, it's your choice. Whilst career choice is partly the school's responsibility, acquiring career literacy, empowering yourself with reading skills and comprehension skills is learning for life.
And
Thank you.
don't forget, listen to your teacher and especially your principal and Molana, and you really go find your life, and not forgetting, love your parents.
Make them proud.
Make them proud of you. They work very hard, and these are very difficult conditions that we're working under, untypical. I remember last night I spoke to a relative, and she's got a school that she's running, a kindergarten, and for 5 months, no fees and things, so it's difficult. Just honor your parents, that they're putting food on your table, and love them and listen to them and to your teachers. And really, I take this opportunity wishing you all the best. You all will go, inshallah, very fine in your life. Thank you, Nasser.
Okay, shukran, Dr. Koreja and Maulima Shadia. Shaida. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Thank you,
Assalamu
Maulana.
alaikum, and thank you to the parents and learners.
Thank you, all of you. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm sure our learners benefited greatly from your presentation, and I'm sure you will be on hand to answer any of the questions if they do contact you. Shukran Jazilan once again on behalf of our Board of Governors, our educators, our dear young learners, and our respected parents. Shukran Jazilan for your time and your effort this evening. We really appreciate it, and we will definitely let you know of how many of our learners will like to undertake your workshop. Right, so inshallah, thank you very much. Learners, we'll end off with a dua, and then you can sign off. Right, Maulana Mutara, you are online.
Maulana Sheikh.
Sheikh,
Can you please render dua fast? Jazakallah.
اللهم إن السلام ومنك السلام تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إنك لا تخلف الميعاد اللهم إنا قد دعوناك فاستجب لنا بفضل سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Shukran Maulana. Learners, parents, you can sign off. Dr. Karodia, if you could remain on, and the IT team, can you remain on, please? Maulana, is everyone off?
One more. Let me just remove this learner.
Okay, I think most of our learners are on or off. Is there anyone else still on?
One learner. I'm attempting to remove the learner. Okay, there we go.
Okay, thank you. Shukran, Maulana. JMS, thank you very much for this presentation. I've noted you cut a lot of your slides out this time.
Because, I said normally sometimes they have technical problems because everybody is on Zoom at this time of the night. So, I was just wary that I don't want to get into trouble going too long.
Okay. Anyway, thanks to Shukran to you and Shaida. Shaida, she's hiding around. She's not showing herself.
No, there she is. No, thank you so much, Nasser. Maulana,
Okay.
Jazakallah. Nice meeting you.
Right.
What's your
Jazakallah
opinion?
to you, and it was nice to have you on. My full name is Wasim Mohammed Laye. Sorry, my video is not on. I don't have my webcam connected. But it was a pleasure having you on, and Jazakallah.
Okay.
Was it okay? Did it go fine?
Alhamdulillah,
Fantastic.
everything went well. I'm sure we will get a few learners taking the workshop. Let's hope. We've got well over 60 grade 9 learners, so we should see quite a few of them.
Inshallah. And you had a very good attendance, Nasser. You had an excellent attendance.
Yeah, no, we normally get our meetings. We get very good attendance, although it's on Zoom, but we always get good attendance. Nevertheless, we wish you well. Take care for everything, and I'll contact you soon with regard to this.
Inshallah.
We will make this recording available to our learners as well, if you don't mind.
Jazakallah. No, you're most welcome. And please, they can ask questions and just send me a copy of the recording, inshallah. And to all of you, to Maulana, to Mohammed Sheikh, to everybody out there, may Allah bless you. And Nasser, always I'm ready for you guys here. Just call me, no problem.
Yeah, we'll wait to see how many of the kids are up for the workshop, and then we'll decide on a date, right?
No problem. No problem. You just come in and have a nice week ahead of you. Take care, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah to the team.
Okay.
Alaikum assalam. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Only Wasim, you want to stop the recording?
Yes, I will. Stop.